AI voice input versus keyboard. For over a century, there's been one tool that has defined how we talk to our computers, the keyboard. We've learned its layout, we've mastered its shortcuts. Some of us have even gotten really obsessed with the perfect click of the keys. But what if the entire era is about to end? Okay, let's get into this, because there's a new challenger in the ring, and it is powered by AI. And look, this isn't just some abstract tech trend we're talking about, it's a really personal journey. The person who wrote the material we're looking at today wasn't just a casual user, they were a true believer, someone who poured time and money and energy into becoming the absolute best typist they could be. And that's what makes their change of heart so dramatic. So let's start with that confession. We are talking about a world just filled with keyboards, brands like Cherry, Fuco, even custom 3D printed ergonomic models. This was a deep-seated habit, a core part of their entire digital life, but it all led them to one simple nagging question. And that's the question that changes everything, isn't it? When you are that deep into something, you almost never stop to ask if it's actually the right way to do it. For decades, the answer was obviously, well, yeah, but recently something shifted. And this was the big aha moment. It wasn't just about basic voice to text anymore, the kind that gets every other word wrong. No, AI tools started doing something totally new. It felt like they didn't just hear your words, they actually understand them. They started adding punctuation automatically, cleaning up all your little stumbles and pauses, and turning messy spoken thoughts into clean, readable text. That's a game changer. So this realization, it kicked off a hunt for the perfect tool. I mean, if AI could understand speech that well, surely there had to be a dedicated app out there that could replace the keyboard for serious work, right? And so the search began, moving way beyond the basic tools that are built into our operating system. And the initial results, they were a mixed bag. And what's really interesting here is this classic trade-off you see. On one hand, you had well-known tools like Whisper, but they were sluggish and pretty inaccurate. On the other hand, you had tools that were lightning fast because they can run locally, but their accuracy, it just wasn't good enough for complex sentences. Something was still missing. And this led to a crucial insight. Raw speed didn't matter, not really. The real killer, the thing that made any voice tool a nightmare to use, was constantly having to stop, go back, and fix errors. Every single correction just completely shatters your train of thought, and the whole process ends up being way more frustrating than just typing in the first place. And then came the breakthrough, a tool called Typeless. And this thing wasn't just another dictation app. No, it was a fundamental shift in philosophy, from just transcribing words to actually understanding the user's intent. And this illustrates the difference perfectly. The old way just turned audio into text. It was a mechanical kind of dumb process. The new way, powered by this advanced AI, interprets what you mean. It understands the context. It knows you want a list or that is should be an email. It's the difference between just hearing and actually learning. Let me give you a perfect example. You just say something simple and conversational, like my shopping list: bananas, oat milk, dark chocolates. You are not issuing some rigid command, you are just talking. And this is what you get back. Look at that. It didn't just transcribe the words, it understood you wanted a list. It created a title, formatted it, and listed out the items perfectly. It understood your intent. The power goes even further. Imagine you've got some quick casual notes you've jotted down, you can just highlight that text and say a command like turn it into a professional email. And just like that, typelist completely rewrites it. It changes the tone, it adds the proper formatting, and it turns your rough notes into a polished, ready-to-send email. This is way more than just input. It's like a partnership. So what's the technology behind this magic? Well, we basically made a leap from ASR, that's automatic speech recognition, which just turns audio into text, to LLM, large language models. And the big deal is LLMs don't just recognize, they comprehend and create. And that's what makes all these incredible features possible. And this completely flips the script on how work gets done. The whole relationship is inverted. Your voice becomes the primary tool for drafting, for getting ideas out of your head quickly and naturally, and the keyboard, our old faithful friend, is now just for the final stage, editing and fine-tuning. But as with any revolution, this new workflow isn't without its challenges. When you start relying this heavily on a single independent tool, it brings a whole new set of anxieties about its future. And the reliance is very real. This number from the source shows just how deeply integrated the tool became in such a short amount of time. We're talking nearly 8,000 words in just 20 days. When something becomes that essential, you start to worry about what could take it away. These worries really boil down to three main points. First, the giants of the tech world. Second, our own expectations about what software should cost. And third, the limitations of the very platforms these tools are built on. The first concern is a story we've seen a million times. What happens when Apple or Microsoft decides to build a good enough version of this directly into their operating system? An 80% solution that's free and perfectly integrated could make it really hard for a smaller third-party tool to survive. And that leads right into the second problem, the price. Typelist Pro costs about $12 a month. In a world with more and more powerful free alternatives, convincing users to pay for something like this is a constant battle. We all have this powerful psychological expectation that basic utilities should just be free. Now, these concerns are totally valid, but they also push us toward a much bigger question. Maybe it's time to step back and rethink the keyboard itself. Was this tool that we trusted for so long actually a deeply flawed compromise from the very beginning? And this bit of history is just fascinating. The QWERTY layout, the one most of us use every single day, was not designed for speed. It was designed in 1873 for the exact opposite reason, to physically slow typists down, or to prevent the metal arms on old mechanical typewriters from jamming. We are still living with a solution to a hardware problem that hasn't existed for decades. I mean, really think about that. For more than 100 years, our behavior has been shaped by the limitations of our machines. We learn to type in a deliberately inefficient way, but now that dynamic is reversing. For what feels like the very first time, the machine is truly learning to adapt to our most natural form of expression, our voice. So I'll leave you with this thought. We have spent an entire century conforming to our tools, building our habits and our muscle memory around their mechanical quirks. What does our world look like? How do we create? How do we think? When, for the very first time, our tools finally truly adapt to us.